Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Little White Raven. And before we do get into this story, just a trigger warning of infertility within the story, so if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. From the Advice and the Am I the Arsehole subreddit, and it says, would I be the arsehole here if I don't attend my friend's baby shower because they said my pregnancy was an accident and that I didn't deserve it? However, before that title, there was a story before that gives a little bit more context, which was just titled, How to Deal with Friends That Can't Have a Child. This came in April 2025. It said, Hi, I'm new to posting stuff, so sorry if this is too long. I 25 female and my fiance 27 male. Had our first child last month. He's a healthy, small, beautiful doll. We fell in love with her instantly. We knew we wanted a child before our 30s, so after long, intimate discussions, I stopped my birth control last summer. But we didn't have any expectations since my doctor told me that sometimes it takes 6 months to a year before getting pregnant. We thought we had time, but in the end, I got pregnant pretty fast. I'm not the type to talk about my intimate life openly. I can joke on certain topics, but I never go into details, etc. No one knew that we were trying since I considered it bad luck and that if nobody asks about a subject of my life, well, I won't talk about it. My fiance's friends, let's call them Michael, 27 male, and Florence, 25 female, kind of like to brag over their life choices and their intimate life, especially Florence. They, compared to us, openly told all of the friend group during a party that they hosted that they were trying and that we shouldn't be surprised if there's a baby on the way soon. This was more than a year now. I even told Florence that usually we wait until you're pregnant to make that kind of announcement because we never know how life can be. I just warned her that sometimes it's better to be a bit more discreet about certain subjects. Sadly, it happens that I was right telling her that. Months pass and she shares with us that their hopes are fading away and frustration is winning on them. When my fiance and I knew we were pregnant, I immediately thought of the couple. I was of course overjoyed for our future baby, but I was also feeling some guilt and awkwardness for our friends. I told my fiance that I wanted them to know before anyone else, before even the 3-month wait. This is important because I was so scared it was going to bring me bad luck. But I insisted because I didn't really want them to learn the news like all of our other friends and family and take them by surprise. Even our parents didn't know. I wanted them to have some time to cope with the situation. I just felt like it was the best thing to do as I respected them and didn't want to cause too much harm. It did though. They thanked me for telling them in advance. I felt some kind of awkwardness, but I believed it was normal because they were still trying. When we officially told our announcement to everyone, they started to make us feel like our child was an accident. They actually told a friend. They told us back, and Florence and Michael actually confirmed it, that we, my fiance and I, had a baby just like that while they can't. It's not really fair. I understood the feeling, but it just felt as if we weren't deserving to have our own life if they can't have life their way. I understand that it can be hard not having a child, but that's not my fault, so don't start blaming us as if we were responsible. Anyway, we told them our own feelings, that we were hurt by their words, etc. They said they didn't mean it that way. They never officially apologized, but things slowly started to be like normal. I'm getting bigger and bigger. I never talk about my pregnancy so not to trigger them, as we now know that Michael is infertile. I gave birth. They know it and they have seen some pictures sent by my fiance. Everyone is happy. Maybe not, but I don't start any discussions about baby in front of them as to not hurt them. 2 days ago, we decided to attend a friend's birthday party with our little girl as to present her to everyone since our friends haven't met her yet. They didn't even come close and look at her. As I said earlier, I'm not one to brag, but I really feel like coming close and just meet her by saying, "Hi baby," is the bare minimum. Just doing that small gesture is enough for me because I know that it's hard on them, but they totally acted as if she was not there, as if she didn't exist. That hurt me. Again, I don't need them to hog over her and talk only about her, but I didn't even receive any comment like, "How are you? Are you doing better after giving birth? Baby doesn't even look like me that much. I'm tanned, but my fiance is pure white." So even a tiny joke would have been fine in the end, but nothing. I'm disappointed again about their behavior. How should my fiance and I deal with them? I'll give them time to cope again, but for how long should I accept their ways? Can someone please give me some advice? Thank you in advance. So this is where the title story came in. Would I be the arsehole if I don't attend my friend's baby shower because they said my pregnancy was an accident and that I didn't deserve it? It came 10 months after the first post. It said, when I was pregnant with my first child 2 years ago, I had a really heavy feeling that I had to keep my pregnancy journey quite discreet because 2 of my friends, they're married, had difficulties with infertility. When my fiance and I were expecting, it was obvious that they were hurt and that after each encounter with us, they would cry themselves to sleep. So whenever we were together, I wouldn't bring up the pregnancy or even all of the great new thrills I was living. I don't have much friends, so it hurt me inside a lot not to be able to appreciate the moment as much, but I didn't want to hurt them just because baby was existing inside me. But they talked to other friends and said awful things such as, the child was an accident. It wasn't. I prepared my body for everything and it just happened on the first try. They don't deserve a child as much as us. I literally waited my entire life just to begin my own family since mine was broken since even before my birth. I remember crying to myself to sleep several times thinking about them also because I always daydreamed about our children growing up together, whether they adopt or use other medical options. But they were just mean. I always try to calm my fiance down by telling him that they are hurt and they don't actually mean it. But it still hurt, and once confronted, they still didn't actually apologize, things that I don't forget. When we introduced our baby to our friend group for the first time, it wasn't at home, they never acknowledged it. Not even a hello baby, they just straight up acted as if it never existed. That night I cried again. The next time they brought a gift, but they never actually said sorry. Anyway, now the couple are expecting. Maybe twins. They had an insemination. They told us first. I hugged them, gave them a small gift I prepared for this day. Baby clothes and stuff, because I consider myself their friend and congratulated them. Now I have this sinking feeling inside because all the things I didn't get to do wholeheartedly because it was hurting them. They celebrate it publicly and loudly. They love to show themselves. I know that it's my fault for not celebrating as much as I should have, but they were really hurt, and it hurt me just as much. So now I'm just thinking about not going to their baby shower when it's going to come up. Not out of a petty move, but because I'll be extremely hurt. I've learned to stand my ground a bit more, so I know I'll tell them my reasons one way or another. But I feel bad because I'm supposed to support them as a friend. So would I be the arsehole if I don't attend their baby shower because they said my pregnancy was an accident and that I didn't deserve it? A commenter who was downvoted talks about them not apologizing, but it doesn't sound like Opie's had a conversation with them and just hurt feelings being on all sides. And Opie comes in and says, true. I didn't say it, but we had dinner dates with them to tell them how we felt. The first time they told us, they said those things because they didn't know that we were trying or thinking about trying. They announced they were going to try since the beginning. At the party, we didn't. We did things our way privately. We did hint that we weren't going to wait too long, but never shouted in front of everybody. The second time when the baby was born and that they ignored her existence. They explained that they didn't know it was coming along and that they weren't ready mentally. The third time, months after during an outing with them only, I told them that they really hurt me and made me cry several times. They said again that they acted like that because they didn't know the whole story. I always told myself that it was normal since they were mourning the fact that they couldn't have children naturally. After reading all your comments, I now understand my gut feeling that this is not a healthy friendship. Another commenter says, darling, these people are not your friends. You can be happy for someone and sad for yourself at the same time. They talked behind your back and made you feel bad for being happy. Make new friends. You don't need people like this. Friends make you feel good and add to our lives. They don't make you ashamed to enjoy your happy moments. Not the arsehole. Commenter says, those aren't your friends. Friends don't want you to be miserable with them or resent your life milestones. I have several friends who've had fertility struggles and every single one was happy for me when I got pregnant. First try, and one is throwing my baby shower. Not the arsehole. Find people who lift you up. Another commenter says, not the arsehole. Also, don't hold on to negative people because you're scared of losing them. Losing people like this will probably be a good thing. They sound like horrible people. And I have to agree with the comments that it's not the arsehole for me. I mean, it doesn't sound much of a friendship, really. Don't get me wrong, I feel for anyone that's going through infertility, etc. But just in terms of their friendship, it doesn't really sound like much is there at all. I mean, OP's quietly suppressed her own joy for months to protect these friends' feelings, told them about the pregnancy before our own parents just to be kind to them, and then got called undeserving of their own kid in return. Never received a real apology for any of it, but still showed up, prepared a gift, hugged them when their news came. But this couple's been gossiping behind OP's back this whole time. And I don't think skipping the baby shower is petty at all. It's not petty, it's just, looking after yourself in this moment. But at the same time, to them, they probably will twist it as petty. And I think it's just one of those situations where you need to take a step back, read what you just wrote yourself and think, would I ever treat friends that way? Because this isn't the way friends treat each other. But OP did add an update and says, not actually an update, but I wanted to thank everyone commenting. I really didn't expect this much attention. I actually cried reading all your comments and told my fiance also that I won't go to their baby shower, and he is 1000% on my side. I know that we'll be able to tell them our reasons of why and that it's totally justified. But I also know that it's not going to be easy because, as one of you said, they will try and say that we can't be happy for them to our other friends. I won't ghost them, but I definitely won't be as present for them. My fiance and I already know that they compare their children with ours, with even everyday accomplishments. They actually already do it with us, buying a house, new car, renovations, etc. As another one of you said, it's exhausting. My fiance made the effort to keep a relationship with them for me. He is deeply hurt by the situation, but unlike me, he isn't a people pleaser, I guess. I truly am grateful to have him. Our first year with baby sure wasn't easy, but he was way more supportive than I could have hoped for. I know that you're all right about leaving them behind and understand that they're not my friends, but it is truly hard to tell myself that after having a hard time making some. But I really do know that my family and my own self comes first. I'm just heartbroken. But thank you again for your comments, and I really wish you all a beautiful life. It's pretty sad in some ways, isn't it? The line that, I know you're right about leaving them behind, but it's truly hard to tell myself that after having a hard time making some, and that was pretty brutal. As I always say, it's really easy for strangers. And I'm sure there's going to be comments, talking about doormat kind behavior, like I always say. And, I'm guilty of saying this stuff myself. It's easy for us to say when you're sat behind a microphone or whatever to, drop them as friends when OP knows that's what needs to be done in the end. We all do. I think sometimes living it is really difficult because sometimes we talk about, grieving friendships, grieving versions of people that they wanted them to be. She was imagining raising the kids alongside each other, and that's pretty much all gone now. But I hope OP taking that one step back does give her some clarity to find, she deserves much more. She's a good egg. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Living Silver 8723 from the Relationship Advice subreddit. It was titled, I female 32 want to break up with my boyfriend male 54 for a younger guy. For the sake of protecting both our identities, I'll refer to my boyfriend as John, not his real name. John and I met at work. He was my office manager for several years. About 3 years ago, I went through a really rough breakup with my ex, and my mental state was very poor. John could see how upset I was at work, even though I did my best to leave it at home. I didn't really want to be the latest office gossip, so when he started offering his office for me to work in private, I was super grateful. Sometimes he would also be there, but he was often needed elsewhere, so I wasn't too concerned about the other type of gossip forming. Over time, John and I grew a close bond, and after a few months we started going out for drinks and food. I guess you could say we began dating. The age thing was always in the back of my mind, but those first few months were really good, so I didn't think too much of it. He was kind, funny, caring, and just seemed like a really great guy. After several months of dating, John made the decision to transfer offices to avoid any conflict of interest or potential problems with the company. Not long after, we moved in together. That's when the problems started to reveal themselves. At first, it was small, stupid things like he'd insist I stop watching my favorite TV shows because they were childish and stupid. I would laugh and say he didn't get it because he's old and would make a joke of it. The thing is though, he wasn't joking. This became a constant thing and it began to weigh on me until I decided to just stop watching. Next up was my clothing choices. He accused me of dressing like I was in my 20s, like I was wanting to attract a younger guy. So I started dressing older and more appropriately. He started making me feel bad about my friends, accusing them of being childish and boring. He would go out of his way to ask them questions about philosophy and politics and then berate them for not knowing the answers. My friends confessed they didn't like being around him because he made them feel belittled, which is exactly how he often makes me feel. I hardly see them anymore, but I don't blame them for wanting to distance themselves. I used to have a lot of independence in my life, hobbies, friends, and fun. Now it seems all I ever really do is what John wants to do, most of which are things I find absolutely mind-numbingly dull. Whenever I push back and try to do what I want, he'll shut me down, making me feel tiny and stupid for suggesting it, often using his age as a way to say, "I know better than you." And that's been my life for the past couple of years up until recently. Enter Mark. Again, not his real name. The new guy at work who's incredibly fun to be around. He has amazing energy, charisma, and bundles of charm. He and I get on like a house on fire. We share a lot of the same hobbies. He's only a couple of years older than me, and he makes me laugh in ways I haven't laughed since I was a kid. The kind of goofy, uncontrollable laughter that makes your sides hurt. I find myself thinking about Mark a lot. I look forward to going to work to hang out with him. I get butterflies in my belly when I'm around him, and I feel a genuine warmth when I'm with him. To be clear, nothing romantic has happened between Mark and me, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't want it to. John was there for me when I really needed someone. Maybe I'm the problem for not strongly advocating for myself. I've always been a people pleaser. Ugh. I can't even tell what's real anymore. I'm being selfish or childish or getting swept up in the fantasy of it all. I could really use some advice. The top commenter on this one said, "You're repeating the same behavior. Break up with John, get therapy, learn to live without a man for 5 minutes." Commenter replied to that saying, "Yep, OP, you were just jumping from one sinking ship to another." Procrastinator Girl says, "It's a little bit sad you only considered getting out of a miserable relationship when you saw the potential of a different man. Both stories of you getting involved with these men are about how they make you feel seen and valued. John for recognizing the pain you were in and being supportive. Mark for recognizing you as an independent person with interests outside of your partner. What's concerning is that you only seem to allow yourself to have the value they're seeing in you, when you are actively noticing that they see it. You're a whole entire person. You're worthy of respect and support when you go through hard times. You're more than your job, partner, address, outfit, etc., and entitled to have hobbies and interests that interest you, whether they interest anyone else or not. It sounds like John has a lot of red flags for controlling behavior. He has isolated you from your other sources of support, demeaned you by belittling your interests and calling you names, and controls what you wear, where you go, what you do, and who you see. He's trying to make your existence an accessory to his. Obviously leave him. You don't need a reason, but there are lots of them. Try and work on rebuilding yourself and your non-romantic relationships. If you jump into something else, you'll be doing so with a lot of baggage and likely put a lot of expectations on any new partner to fix things that they didn't break. It's a cliche for a reason, but if you want to have a healthy relationship with someone else, it's a good start to have a healthy relationship with yourself first." OP replies saying, "You're completely right. I've always tied my self-worth to how others value me. I have a lot of codependency issues. I need to fix myself. I can't do that whilst with John, and I can't nor should I use Mark as an escape. Mark made me realize that my relationship with John was lacking many things, and I guess it's not really Mark I'm falling for, but what he represents." Nomi says, "Good grief. Okay, 1. You can break up with anyone at any point for any reason. You don't need his or anyone else's permission to leave. 2. You can leave a situation that makes you uncomfortable. You do not have to stay just because someone else wants you to. 3. This relationship is toxic as fuck. There is a reason you should date people your own age, and you are starting to see it. It is highly controlling. 4. You seriously need to be single for a while, learn to be comfortable and strong on your own. 5. Don't date people at work. And one more comment, and I'm just picking it for their first line because it is really good. Very Competent says, first of all, stop fishing off the company pier. Your boyfriend very obviously took advantage of a junior colleague in a vulnerable emotional state, as usually happens with much older men who pursue younger women. He wants everything to suit him, and anything he doesn't like isn't a matter of personal taste. It's categorically inferior. He chose you because of the imbalance of power between you. He was there for you in a way a crab trap is there for a crab. This new person may have woken you to the fact that your current relationship is sucking the life and crushing the character out of you. But that does not mean you should jump right into another relationship. Dump your terrible boyfriend and be yourself. Maybe seek a counselor to learn to set boundaries and not to fear someone leaving to the point you allow them to bully you. Absolutely, the comments were spot on, and there was loads talking about the age gap issues. But yeah, the controlling behavior was just obviously massively jumping out within that story, right? Someone who's controlling their TV habits, their wardrobe, their friendships, their hobbies, and the fact that he was your boss first adds an extra layer of what the fuck to it as well. And I think the comments were highlighting something, that your excitement about Mark isn't really about him at all. It's about remembering who you used to be before John. You're enjoying what used to be a part of you, the goofy laughter, the shared interests, and the butterflies. You know, it's yourself. And of course, when you do come out of this relationship, not jump straight into another relationship with this other guy, because that's a disaster waiting to happen at the same time. Like the comment says, find yourself, be happy for a while. And of course, not dating in the workplace. But OP comes in with their first little update and says, thank you for all your advice. I realize now that my problems with codependency and the fear of being alone pushes me into these unhealthy situations. I'll be ending my relationship with John, but Mark and I will remain nothing more than colleagues and friends for the foreseeable. I need to learn how to be comfortable being on my own and rediscover myself before I consider entering a new relationship. Another commenter says, be careful of John's reaction to the breakup. Perhaps loop in a boss or HR person in case he is either sneaky or sabotaging or outright rude and aggressive. Opie says, worst case scenario, I'll look for another job. Have a decent amount of savings to fall back on to support me finding other work, so I'm not too concerned. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but I'm prepared for it if it does. 3 months later, Opie comes in with another update and says, as I received several messages about this, I decided to post an update. I ended my relationship with John. He started to make things difficult for me at work, so I ended up resigning. I now have a much better job and life is really good. I haven't really seen Mark since I quit my job, but we occasionally message each other on social media. He did hit me up very recently, inviting me to go to a concert with him. We both really liked the band playing, and he remembered I was a fan of them too. They're playing locally next month, so I'll be seeing him then. I don't really see anything romantic developing between us now though. Our conversations are much tamer and friend-coded now. Plus, I'm kind of enjoying being single. I feel like I have my independence back, and I'm in a much better place mentally. Much better job, life really good, and you know, having your independence back is just a win all around at this moment in time, right? I kind of feel like more is going to happen at that concert, but I don't know. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And for our last story of this video, we're going to cover one from our very own subreddit r/Mark Narrations. No update as yet, but this one's from Professor Rune Law, who says, am I the arsehole if I step down as maid of honor because the bride keeps testing my loyalty and is messing with my head? My best friend Kara, 28 female, asked me, 28 female, to be her maid of honor back in the fall, and I said yes without thinking twice. We've been close since high school, the kind of friendship where you know each other's worst eras and still stick around. Kara's always been a little intense, but lately it feels like she's turned our friendship into a loyalty game. She'll send me these long texts like, "Tell me you're really happy for me," if I don't respond fast enough. Or she'll get weirdly cold if I spend the weekend with my boyfriend instead of hanging out with her. She also keeps trying to make me prove I'm on her side in tiny conflicts. Like she'll bring up a bridesmaid and ask, "Do you think she's jealous of me?" And if I say, "I'm sure she's fine," Kara gets mad because I'm not validating her. Last month she told me I had to stop talking to one of our mutual friends because she never liked you. I can tell. When I said no, Kara accused me of choosing people over her and went silent for 3 days. It's exhausting. The final straw was this week. Kara called me and said she needed me to handle a small task for the wedding, then admitted it was actually a test. She asked me to tell her fiancé that she was staying with me on Saturday night, even though she was really going out with her single cousin to blow off steam. I was like, no. I don't want to lie to your future husband. She got defensive and said it wasn't cheating, it was just going dancing and that I was making her feel trapped. Then she said if I loved her, I'd cover it because marriage changes people, and she deserves one last fun night. I told her I'm not comfortable being the person who lies for her, full stop. She said I'm being judgmental and that I'm trying to sabotage her happiness. Now she's telling the bridal party I've been unsupportive, and she hinted she might replace me anyway, but also keeps texting me like nothing happened. I'm honestly spiraling, and I kind of want to step down as maid of honor completely because this dynamic feels toxic, and I'm starting to dread her name popping up on my phone. Would I be the arsehole if I stepped down, even though it's close enough that it would cause drama? It's wild how this sort of thing suddenly happens, and it's always like around a wedding or something like that, because Opie did say, she's always been a bit intense, but lately she's turned the friendship into a loyalty game, so it seems like it's turned a corner. But absolutely not the arsehole, and I think stepping down is probably the best thing you can do, especially for yourself, but maybe for Kara's fiance at the same time, who, I wouldn't say you have to do it, but he deserves to know what he's walking into right here. Because the test stuff is a huge red flag, not just the alibi request, but the whole pattern itself, the loyalty stuff, the 3-day silent treatments, the prove you're on my side games. That's not a best friendship. And quite frankly, you haven't caused any drama. It's her. She's the one who's done all this. She's the one who's chosen this path. Little petty part of me comes out every once in a while, and I don't think Opie should do this because it will cause absolute chaos. But little petty Mark just wants to say, she's telling everyone that you're being unsupportive. I'd almost want to tell everyone, well, she's asking for an alibi to go out and do whatever she wants to do behind her husband's back. I'm not saying it's cheating, but she certainly wants to go out and blow off steam, whatever that means. Again, I'm not saying Opie should do that because that will just blow up. But Jolie again says, whatever is going on with her has nothing to do with you, and she doesn't care about you at all. Duck. She wants drama and BS. Red Reaper says, you'd be an arsehole to yourself if you didn't step down. Might be time to ditch Kara, preferably before the drama gets worse. Sudden Flamingo says, escape this asylum immediately. Save whatever's left of your peace and end it today. The bride is a controlling, manipulative arsehole, and she's been a lousy friend. I had legit beef with people who never treated me as badly as you're being treated. After the first time or two, any grace I might have given the bride would have been all used up. Show that B what unsupportive actually looks like, not the arsehole. Minflick says, not the arsehole. Run like the winds of hell are behind you. I like that. She's too immature to get married, extra manipulative, and it sounds like she's bought in that whole testing BS some people enjoy. And if you don't like her behavior, so either step away for a few months, at least until after the wedding date, or just stop being her friend. You have ethics and she has manipulation, and the two aren't a good fit together. And a lot of people on the back of this just saying that they would be absolutely done with this behavior. A couple of people talking about there may be ways around it, etc. But now put yourself in OP's position. What would you do in it? How would you react? Would you be done with this friendship, or do you think there's a way around it, etc.? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time, it always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly is absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.